Hello everybody, my name is CJU and I'd like to present to you my top 5 scariest moments in video games. While they may not have come from the scariest games, these 5 moments have affected me more than any others. We're going to start this list off with one of my favourites actually, Penumbra Overture. A game that I'd like to think restored a lot of people's faith that horror games can be scary again. In Penumbra Overture, you play a man who follows a series of clues from his supposedly dead father to an uninhabited northern Greenland. Following his father's directions, he eventually finds an abandoned mine. And unfortunately, for your character Philip, it all goes downhill from there. Regaining consciousness, Philip realizes he can't go back the way he came in, and proceeds deeper into the mine. It doesn't take too long for Philip to lose sight of daylight and have to rely on his flashlight and glow stick. In the near pitch black darkness, hoping to find some information or a way out, Philip realizes he has company. And this is my moment that makes number 5, the dog in the dark. I actually see this part as rather tame now, but back in 2008, this was overwhelming. It blew me away. Trapped underground in a maze in the dark, I felt the most vulnerable in any video game, well, ever at that point. With no real way of fighting back, your only choice is to hide. I remember one of my friends who also played this game at the same time I did, having to quit the game at this point because he just found it to be too much pressure. And even I remember crawling around the cavern with my heart in my mouth trying to solve puzzles. Well, that was my number 5. So let's move on to number 4. I know what you might be thinking. A point-and-click adventure game in the top 5 scariest moments list. Really? Yep. And now I'll try my best to explain why without spoiling too much. In Scratches, you play as a horror writer who moves into Blackwood Manor, hoping it will inspire his latest work. Despite small problems here and there, he gets acclimated and it looks like it's just what he was looking for to motivate him.
This house is like a dream come true.
The surroundings of Blackwood Manor serve as perfect inspiration for his upcoming horror novel, and everything seems to be fine until the first night. Hearing a scratching from somewhere below your bedroom, you tentatively re-explore the house, hoping to find the source of the noise. But before you can, it stops, and thinking you may have imagined it, you decide to go back to bed. But the next night, it happens again. These noises even cause your character to question his own sanity, but I won't say any more because I don't want to spoil it for you. To cut a long story short, in searching for the source of the scratching, you uncover secrets a lot more interesting than your own horror writing, and you become obsessed with trying to solve a mystery long forgotten.
Into this, Jerry, and if I don't know what happened inside this house, I won't be able to sleep again.
At a certain point in the game, you believe that you've done all you can, and you decide to leave Blackwood Manor for good. But just as you're leaving, despite everything you've done, the scratches are real and they remain. Someone or something is in Blackwood Manor with you. And upon one last investigation, you find something new. And this is it. This is the moment. As silly as it might seem to you, the mere act of going down into this area for the first time gave me such a sense of dread and paranoia that I had to put it on my list.
Driver, how far to the stop?
Almost there. I'll drop you at the town square of Innsmouth.
Why lock the gates?
Keeps out wanderers looking for work.
Stepping off the bus into the mysterious town of Innsmouth in Call of Cthulhu, Dark Corners of the Earth, it doesn't take you too long to realise something isn't right. Playing as Detective Jack Walters, you begin your investigation into the disappearance of a local man.
Do you know the Burnham lad? He worked...
Camp Riley says I know him.
After looking around the coastal town for any clues to the man's whereabouts, talking with unhelpful locals,
Get lost, stranger.
and drunks telling tall tales,
Ove told folks they had to take the oaths of Dagon.
the detective decides to retire for the night in the nearby Gilman Hotel.
If you just follow me, sir, I'll show you to your lodgings.
Planning to continue your investigation in the morning, you lock up your hotel room and you go to bed.
But the best I'm gonna get in this infernal town.
And then the real fun begins.
There's his room. Just keep the noise down.
The townspeople, thinking you're getting too close to a secret they don't want revealed, decide to keep you from ever getting out of Innsmouth alive.
It's locked. Probably bolted on the other side. He's awake in there. I can hear him moving about.
Break the door down, you damn fool.
Suddenly woken and forced into a tense situation, you find yourself running for your very life through adjoining hotel rooms, with the seemingly endless mob only a few steps behind you. With very little time to think, you have to both make your escape and block them from getting into the same room as you. Playing this part for the first time gave me such an adrenaline rush and put me in such a frenzied panic that I had to put it in my top 5.
Stop! He's on the other side!
If you've already played Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl, you probably know which part I'm going to talk about in this video. Arguably, this isn't even a horror game, but this FPS RPG has its fair share of scary moments. But none of them really came close to when I first stepped into Agraprom Research Institute. Way back in 2007, after fighting through countless enemies and dying quite an embarrassing number of times, I finally made it to this room, and as I wandered in, I regretted it almost instantly. To all those who don't know what I'm talking about, meet the Bloodsucker. He's invisible, he's fast, and he's very deadly. As I recall, the first time I went into this room and I heard that roar, tactics went out the window. I started spraying and praying, and it didn't work. This one encounter changed my entire perspective of the game. I'm putting this at number 2 in my list because this came as the biggest shock. Playing this game, I wasn't expecting to be scared, but not only did it shock, startle and scare me, it made me paranoid for the remainder of the game, double checking every dark corner, every shadow, just in case he turned up again. There's only one enemy that's terrified me more, and he's at number 1. Cry of Fear. There's loads of bits in this game that could make it into a list like this, but there's one part where I can safely say I have never before or since been freaked out so much. The part I'm referring to is when you meet him. You might have realised, unlike some of the others on this list, that I haven't really given you too much context for this one. Then again, I don't think I need to. Much like the hotel escape in Call of Cthulhu, you run or you die. And even if you do run, you've got no time to turn back if you miss your chance of escaping, and believe me, he is right behind you all the way. The strange thing is, despite playing through a lot of the game already, getting used to the tension, and getting used to enemies jumping out at you and trying to kill you, I still wasn't prepared for this moment. Am I going to get jumped coming out of here? I feel like it. Oh. Oh no, not a Sora again. I can't deal with it. What the f*** is that? Ah! F***! Perhaps it was the background audio, or the sound of the chainsaw, or his animation as he wildly ran towards me, but I just simply couldn't deal with it, and it scared me more than any other moment in any other video game. And that is why it's at number 1. I'd just like to reiterate, I don't believe these are the 5 scariest games of all time, but these are the 5 moments that have affected me the most personally. Outside any Oculus Rift shenanigans anyway. I'm just gonna back away slowly because I... Ah! Oh, you son of a bitch! No! 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 To give a few honourable mentions for those who didn't quite reach the top 5, parts in Alien Isolation, Eternal Darkness, Outlast, Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Five Nights at Freddy's, Amnesia, and even more parts of Cry of Fear almost made this list. But maybe you feel I neglected to mention something, maybe there's something I don't know about yet. What would you put in your top 5? Leave a comment below. I've been CJU, and they were my top 5 scariest moments in video games. And as always, thanks for watching.